He says it. Oop, not yet. And I just wanted to welcome you guys. Bring your coffee. Welcome to the Aristotle Full Throttle Show. Gonna go live right now on Instagram. Going live on all the platforms. And tomorrow, I promise, also Twitch. We'll figure out Twitch. Guys, welcome. Aristotle Full Throttle here. Welcome to the Full Throttle Cast, the daily noon cast, noon Pacific Standard Time, where we talk about movies, we talk about fun stuff, and we forget about perhaps what, the major events of the world. We just have a good time and enjoy each other's company. And I'm glad you guys are here to join me on this. It's so much fun to do this with you guys every day, and it's been bringing a smile to my face all of the time. I'm tripping over my own tongue because I'm hyped up on caffeine and I'm ready to go, guys. Today we're talking about movie rules. You know how you watch a movie and then they're like, whatever you do, don't do this thing. Whenever that happens in a movie and I'm sitting there, I just go, oh man, I can't wait till they do that thing because I can't wait to see what happens. Because why would they mention it otherwise? Because they're going to do that thing for sure. Whatever they do. There's actually, it's funny because there was a moment in, I think I'm going to talk about Back to the Future a lot today, because Back to the Future does this a lot. There's a lot of established rules. You got to go 88 miles per hour. You need the flux capacitor. You need 1.21 gigawatts. There are all these rules in place that none of them individually mean anything, really. So, go figure. Hey, Morigazarlara. Welcome. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle. I'm your bro in the know with the fro. Today we talk about movie rules, but every day at noon Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, we talk about movies, fun stuff, different topics every day. I already got the topic picked out for tomorrow, I think. Deus Ex Machina. Don't you hate it when there's a movie and then just like out of nowhere someone comes and saves the day for no good reason? I mean, it makes you feel good, it feels resolved, but then after a while you go, hey, wait a minute. I did not expect a luck dragon to appear out of nowhere and swoop me up and save me just to have some kid yell his mom's name out the window. You gotta hydrate, ladies and gentlemen. I neglected to do that. So I'm doing it now. Don't mind me. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle. You're Morigazagala. Thank you for coming. I just waved at you. I hope you're well. Dr. Fauci is talking to Chris Cuomo right now. Their conversation can't be nearly as good as ours. I'm pretty sure. You guys ever see the movie Young Frankenstein? Young Frankenstein? That's a fun one. It's got Terry Garr in it. She's like, would you like a roll in the hay? And then she starts rolling around in the hay. It's very funny. It looked fun, too. I'd love a roll in the hay. So just looking for your questions. Name a movie, guys. Just name a movie, and then we'll talk about the rules that are established in that movie. Like, for instance, I'm wearing a shirt from Superman, the movie. I will always call it Superman, the movie, because that's the official title. 1978, Superman, the movie. Because they wanted to make sure, when you were sitting in the theater, that you knew you were at the right place. Superman, the movie. There's an established rule, and there's going to be some spoilers in this show. I gotta warn you ahead of time. There's going to be an established rule in the movie Superman. If you remember, Marlon Brando, who plays Superman's father, says, don't mess with humans' time. Don't mess with their history, because that's like forbidden, okay? It's forbidden. It's verboten. It's verboten. It's verboten. And what does Superman do? None other than change the history of the Earth in the end of the first Superman. And simply, it's really easy. All you got to do is reverse the Earth's axis, a rotation, actually, on its axis. And then you could just reverse time. I don't know if... That really seems like a Trumpian solution to something. Like Trump just going, hey, doctors, in Superman... They just turned the Earth backwards. You guys thought of that? Maybe if we turn the Earth backwards to before January and we lock down, maybe if we turn the Earth backwards, science, you probably need a medical doctor for this, right? That's our president, ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the free world. I got 2 concurrent viewers over there on YouTube, but none of them have liked the video yet, and nobody's participating in the question and answer section of the show, the interaction part of the show, which is really, truly the most fun part. If you want to jump, oh, there it is. I had to recycle the page. Hey, Tatiana Wilkinson, I just channel Aristotle Full Throttle. Go to patreon.com, Aristotle Full Throttle, and you could pledge however much you like each month to my channel to keep it going and to keep this coffee mug filled with hot, juicy, delicious, musty, earthy, minty, also umami coffee. I like my coffee weird. How do you take your coffee? Weird. That's usually my answer. We're talking about movies today. We're talking about movie rules specifically. Don't feed those gremlins after midnight. Don't get them wet, because what's going to happen? I don't know. Let's wait till they break that rule. What's your favorite movie rule? What are some movies? Just name a movie. And then we could say, here was the rule. Back to the Future, so many rules. Don't tell me about the future. You can't tell me about the future, because if you tell me about the future, a butterfly flaps its wings upside down in the Serengeti, and then Trump gets elected president. This is the terrifying possibility of what could happen. But then, of course, Doc Brown is told about the future, and what does he do? Breaks the rule. What the heck? Saves his own life. Tricks the audience. The rule is just set up there just so you can get tricked. Vampires have so many rules. Gotcha, Will. I understand the delay factor on Instagram. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually figure out how to do this also on Twitch so that we can have 3-level platform situation going on. Maybe I'll hook up my laptop or something. Oh yeah, I was going to use my laptop as a visual aid, but not today. Guys, we've got so many days together, me and you. All of the days. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you're staying sane. It's actually pretty okay to go a little bit crazy. That's what I heard from a song by Seal, later covered by Alanis Morissette. Good song. Very true. We're never going to survive unless we get a little crazy. Remember the Crazy 88 in Kill Bill? What was the rule established in Kill Bill? There's a lot of rules in that movie, I'm sure. First, it was like the 5-finger death punch. That was a cool rule that they established. There's also a thing in movies where you go, they keep mentioning a thing, I can't wait till that thing happens, like the 5-finger death punch, which was mentioned in 2 Kill Bills. Both of the Kill Bills, they were like, listen, look out for the 5-finger death punch, because you can get, there's a special combination of pressure points. They press on all those combinations, and then they unlock the explosion of your heart on the 5th step when you walk. It's a whole math, there's a science to it. Only one person knew how to do it, and of course Beatrix Kiddo learned that move and used it to kill Bill, which was pretty fantastical. Jimmy James Cordova, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Nice to see you. Hope all is well, buddy. Jimmy James Cordova, as you know, father to be. Exciting, very exciting. That's got to be a daily situation of learning new things about yourself and the world. Thanks for joining us. Today we're talking about all different kinds of rules in movies where, like, there's a rule established and then everybody's like, don't do this thing, and then they do it, or they mention a thing and then the thing happens later. Like, for instance, and I'm going to talk about Back to the Future a lot. My cousin, I remember sitting next to him when we went to see Back to the Future 3, and he called it. He just said, when the train shows up from the future, from the past, but also from the future because it's got modified, when Doc Brown comes back from 1885 and then comes back with the train, time-traveling train, he builds a new flux capacitor, I suppose. My cousin just leaned over and he's like, I can't wait to see this train fly. And I was like, what you talking? And then the train lifted up off the tracks and flew away. And I was like, are you joking? They did that from the first movie, and I didn't even see it. My cousin made the call. Genius. We're going to talk about Gremlins, and we're going to talk about vampires, and we're going to talk about Beetlejuice and the Candyman. And we'll look into the mirror, turn out the light, you see Candyman. Beetlejuice is a good one, too. I love that. I just love the established rule of, and then breaking it, because the rules are always broken. The genie in Aladdin changing his rules for granting wishes. Yeah, I watched Aladdin. I watched the live action Aladdin featuring Will Smith, which was pretty good. Oh, wait, before you judge me, I didn't think it was that good, actually. I thought it was only watchable 45 minutes in when Will Smith showed up. And did you know that movie was directed by Guy Ritchie? I didn't know that movie was directed by Guy Ritchie. I actually found out after the movie that it was directed by Guy Ritchie because my friend said, I can't believe Guy Ritchie directed that movie. And I was like, oh, I just thought it came out the Disney factory. I just thought it was like sort of crapped out of a Disney machine. And but Guy Ritchie apparently showed up for the paycheck every day for that, so that's cool. I watched that movie, and they really did change the rules however they felt, but then they really stuck to the rules toward the end in order to catch that guy, Jafar, to catch that guy. Did I say Jafart? Man, if you watch the old Aladdin, the animated series, again, it's funny because I don't know if Disney puts the little disclaimer before that movie that says, you know, you're going to watch this movie, all right? And look, it was like the early 90s. We were very ethnocentric. There's going to be a lot of depictions of Arab folks that are less than flattering. Just be prepared for that. We're going to redo this movie, and it's going to have Will Smith. And everybody's going to be happy about that. Sorta. Even though he's disturbing when he's the genie. But Will Smith does make that movie watchable. It's really funny how Will Smith picks these movies that are not that good in the last 10 years or so. But somehow he breaks the rule and says, look, I'm Will Smith. I got charisma. And charisma goes a long way. Welcome to Earth. Beetlejuice, Tatiana, yeah, you need to rewatch that. It's a fun movie. I don't need to rewatch it because I watched it 11,000 times when I was very young because my little sister wanted to watch it on VHS every day for about 2 years. So I've seen that movie enough times to never want to see it again. However, I do love it. He's got hair down to his shoulders, his goddamn shoulders, and he says, just trim it a little. Like, I know that movie back to front. I know that movie too well. It's not even funny. It's like one of those movies that I know inside and out. That movie and Flight of the Navigator. I could sit here and just quote Flight of the Navigator. I think we all have a movie like that. That's another. Maybe that's Thursday. We talk about movies that we know every line to for no good reason. Yes, Jamie Kennedy in Scream. Good point, Jimmy James Cordova on Instagram. There are a lot of rules that they make up in that to be foolproof in Scream, to be like, look, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to work. It always works this way. And we will be superior like rage killers or whatever they wanted to be in that movie. And then they broke the rules. They definitely broke the rules on that. Fight Club. Do not talk about Fight Club. Second rule. Do not talk about Fight Club. That is true. They did talk about Fight Club. One of my favorite things about Fight Club is there are musicians in Fight Club that are they're like, one is obvious. Meatloaf is in it. And there are a few musicians that just sort of show up under the radar because the movie was directed by David Fincher. And David Fincher is known for making music videos in the 90s. So, of course, Ed Kowalczyk, the lead singer from Live, shows up as a waiter in one of the scenes. And he's like, hey, and he has a black eye. And he's like, hey, don't mention a Fight Club, okay. All right, Tyler Durden. I I remember watching that going, why is this the lead singer from Live in this? And there's a lot of different, and also it sort of counts, but it doesn't. But Jared Leto, he's a musician. He's actually a pretty good musician. I say that because I used to be in rock and roll bands all the time for like a living. That was what I did. I was like on the stage playing the bass guitar for the children, playing shows for rock and roll bands. And one of the bands that I got fortunate enough to open up for was a band called 30 Seconds to Mars. And 30 Seconds to Mars, that was on the tour for the Taste of Chaos, which was also The Used was on that tour. Cool guys. And 30 Seconds to Mars, met those guys. Jared Leto and his brother are in that band. And I liked it. It was a good band. They were a good band. Maybe I'm just saying that because I met them and I played a show with them, but but you never know. It's very funny because I remember making fun of the band Nickelback, because you should, because they're pretty lame. They're kind of a lame band. They're the best Canadian rock band ever, let's just say. I don't know how much that's saying. Sorry, Canada. I do love you, Canada. I lived in you for a while. Love the Canadians. Love Canada. It's beautiful. However, yeah, but I bet if Nickelback said, hey, if you want to come on tour with us, you'd go on tour with us. And then I was like, all right, well, yeah, you got a point. So I'd probably be friends with Nickelback if, because you never know. You never know. When you meet somebody, you might like them even though you hate their work, and vice versa. You might like someone's work a lot and you might hate the person. But yeah, Fight Club, they broke the rules in that one. Blade Runner. Robocop. Oh, that's an excellent one. See, Will is crushing it. Will's throwing out all these examples like this, and Tatiana also. These are great examples here. You've got Excalibur. So Robocop, that's a good one. The Prime Directives, guys. Remember the Prime Directives? You can't kill a cop. You can't arrest a cop or whatever. The robot, he's like, I can't. Robocop's like, ugh, I wanna shoot Dick Jones. He's such a dick, but I can't. It's against my programming. Brilliant scene. The end of Robocop. This is when Paul Verhoeven, director of Robocop, was in full force doing movies like Robocop, Basic Instinct, Total Recall, and then of course the classic Showgirls. But we'll forget that one and remember Starship Troopers, because those were like, that was a streak. That was a streak of futuristic sci-fi movie, sex thriller, futuristic sci-fi movie, sex thriller, or sex movie, or femme fatale type of movie, if you will. And then futuristic sci-fi space action movie. Yeah. These rules are crazy. So Robocop could not beat his prime directives. Also, there's a prime directive in Alien, if you guys remember what that is. Let me read the Robocop prime directives, because those are some classic OCP rules. Detroit, the police department, they got to program their robots so that Dick Jones has his own like protective umbrella. Dick Jones is smart. What's up, Dooney? Do not follow me, I'm serious is your name, is your full name. Robocop prime directives, guys. We're going to go down to these rules. These are very specific rules, and see when and if and how Robocop actually broke these. Where are they? Oh, Robocop prime directives, that was a show? Come on now. That's a show? I'm not talking about the show. I actually want to know the prime directives. Does anybody know the prime directives? Oh, here they are. Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law. And what is prime directive number 4? It's classified. It's classified. It's established that it's classified. But then, of course, Robocop does the little weird dance because you can't shoot Dick Jones yeah. I had to kill Bob Morton because he made a mistake. Now it's time to erase that mistake. These are movies that just echo in the brains of all of us, I'm pretty sure. 30 Seconds to Mars was legit. It had John Lennon type song. It featured debuted on Ellen is questionable. That is very questionable. I got a whole story about that, guys. Maybe one day when we get into my rock and roll days, we'll talk about 30 Seconds to Mars and how my band was being signed to the same label, Virgin Capital. And there was a whole drama. You know what? I would love that. Once I reach 10,000 subscribers, 1 million subscribers, I'm going to out the whole record industry. They're going to have it. They're going to really get it from me. I'm going to let them all have it and say what for. And it'll truly impact them, I'm sure. Yeah, it was a weird... I don't know if you guys remember 30 Seconds to Mars had a documentary that came out called This Is War. And they were talking about how they were fighting with their record label. Yeah, that was crazy. That was basically the situation we were in also. So, guys, if you want to play music, just play music. And play it. And, you could always busk. But playing music for the money and on the stages, it's good and it's great. And if it's what you need to do, please do it. It's definitely something I need to do more of. But, I gotta say, the industry gets you a little jaded, gets you a little broken inside. Oh, yeah, that's cool. 30 Seconds to Mars is doing a festival on a private island in Croatia this summer. That's pretty cool. Every summer they have 30 Seconds to Mars camp where you get indoctrinated as a cult member of 30 Seconds to Mars. I don't know what they do, but they do it in Malibu every year. And it seems weird. A bunch of 14-year-olds go there and then Jared Leto's around them. And there's stories about that I'm not going to get into because allegedly Jared Leto and 14-year-old girls, allegedly. Maybe I'll tell that story. I don't know anything. I don't know anything actually, so I can't tell that story. I would get defamed. It would be defamatory, but I have my suspicions. And it's all alleged. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can only fight at night because they broke the real count. They broke that rail countless times in the animated series and the movie as well. That's so true. What kind of ninjas fight during the day? Like Batman in Dark Knight Rises. It was kind of goofy that they're all out during the day. It's much cooler when Batman's fighting at night and the ninjas are fighting at night. I have a story about Ninja Turtles, personal story. Here's a fun one. Guys, let me know if this is annoying or not, or if it's fun to talk about personal experiences I've had with these movies. So I was working as a background actor in a movie. They didn't tell us what the movie was for. They just said, "Hey guys, show up downtown Los Angeles, 6 a.m. Should be a short day." It was a pickup shot for a movie that was being filmed. They didn't tell us what the movie was. They said, "Okay, you guys sit here," and then they marched the 10 of us or the 8 of us to this part of the city where it looked like New York City. So I'm like, this part of downtown LA reminds me of New York City. And I'm looking around and they're positioning us and showing us where to walk, and I actually show up in this scene. You could see me. You could freeze frame it and you'll see me. They gave me Beats headphones because that's like a product placement that they had to put in the movie. So Beats are by Dre, and I was wearing the Beats headphones, and I walk past the camera. But the direction was specifically from the assistant director. He says, and right before the assistant director said this, while we were walking over to this location, I noticed that someone had a Transformers backpack. So their backpack was a Transformers backpack, and I put together, I'm like, that looks like a gift that you would get if you were on a crew of a Michael Bay movie. And what is Michael Bay producing, if not the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie? I have a feeling that the reason why we're in this area is because we're filming the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a scene for that movie. Now we're standing there, and the assistant director says, "Okay, guys, now your eye line is going to be up there by the billboard because you're going to see some activity up by the billboard. They're going to be these figures moving around up there by the billboard." And I said, "Like ninjas?" Like a wise ass. I said that. because I was like, why are you guys trying to pretend that we shouldn't even know what movie we're being filmed in? He said, there's going to be a bunch of figures jumping across the buildings. And I just said to him, in front of everybody, like ninjas? You freaking idiot. What do you think, we're dumb? I got a kick out of that. I like being subversive. Split. Good movie. Actually, I liked Split. Will brings up the movie Split. I really enjoyed none other than McAvoy, his acting chops in that movie. His acting was really good. That movie doesn't work unless you have James McAvoy acting his ass off, being like one character and then another character, but fully just totally different people. Really cool. And my favorite part of Split is that, but this is a good example because there's the scene where James McAvoy is playing one character, playing another character, and that is pretty insanely good. Yeah, Dooney. They were like, what a genius. This guy clearly could figure out that we were doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. But there's actually a shot of me. You could see me in that scene. But guys, yeah, Split. It's pretty cool because they established that his whole physicality can change. The character, depending on his personality, his physiology can change. So when he becomes the Beast, he can like crawl on walls and stuff. And when he becomes one of his other characters, he's actually diabetic, which is bizarre. So it's all psychosomatic. So it was pretty cool to see him talk about different rules and then actually achieve them. You know what Split kind of reminds me of in a weird way? There was a movie called K-Pax. I don't know if anybody saw the movie K-Pax, but that was a pretty cool movie. I like movies like that are sci-fi movies where you watch the movie and all the way up until the very end, you don't know whether or not it's real, what's happening, or if it's the characters just being crazy. And there's a lot of cool movies like that. Another movie like that is Hereditary, but in a different way. You're like, is this craziness just a result of psychosis? Or are these really like demons and stuff possessing people? Memento does also good call, Will. Yeah, I was definitely a smart aleck on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set. It was a fun day though. It was 3 hours and we got a full day rate. Literally just walked by the camera 2 times and they were like, thank you, we're gonna put this in the end credits of the movie. So at the end of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you can see me walk past the camera with headphones on. That was my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles verse cinematic debut. I can't wait to come back for all the sequels. You know what's funny about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, which I still enjoyed because it was just dumb, is that the one that came out just a few years ago, I thought it was pretty fun because they just described everything to you that was about to happen. They didn't really bother showing you what needed to happen. They would just say, hey, Turtles, now what we need to do is go up to that top of the flagpole, grab that thing, and then blow up Krang. And then once we do that, then Krang will go back into the other universe. They would just describe everything that they needed to do instead of just making it abundantly clear and apparent movie. But I still enjoyed it. K-Pax has a lot of... K-Pax was pretty good. It's not for everybody. It's also got Kevin Spacey in it. And Kevin Spacey is persona non grata. So we don't need to be like really watching Kevin Spacey movies right now. But yeah, guys, these are all great examples. Thank you for showing up, bringing some great discussion to the table. I love movies, man. I really do. Gremlins. We got to talk about Gremlins. Gremlins is fun because But the second movie, Gremlins 2, they really had to. We talk a lot about Gremlins 2 here at Aristotle Full Throttle. I don't know if you noticed that. I just did. I'm like, hey, it's Tuesday. It's time to talk about Gremlins 2. Gremlins 3 is green lit, guys. It's coming back. Zach Galligan's in it. Everybody. You ever notice how, like, when a movie comes back after 30 years, they rarely bring back the female lead? Like, where Kelly McGillis at in this new Top Gun movie? Come on now. They got to give. I mean, I guess Jennifer Connelly is an age-appropriate wife to have, but where's Kelly McGillis? What happened to Kelly McGillis? Why can't we have Kelly McGillis? What's wrong? What's wrong with you, Hollywood? Tom Cruise has to have Jennifer Connelly from Labyrinth. Remember Labyrinth, guys? You know, I watched Labyrinth as an adult a few years ago, and I was like, this movie's not that good. And then I rewatched The Neverending Story just the other day, and that movie's still good. So decidedly, sorry to burst your bubble, Labyrinth fans, but The Neverending Story, I know that they're kind of ham-handedly placed and crowbarred into the same category, but The Neverending Story is a better movie. Decidedly. It's got a severe lack of David Bowie, however. The Power Rangers must always act surprised when the monsters they fight become gigantic, even though that's so true, Judy. I can't believe you brought that up. That's hilarious. Because I used to think that every time I watched Voltron. If you ever watched Voltron, this is the thing about Voltron. It's basically the precursor to Power Rangers. It's the same idea. 5 different color heroes, and they join forces, and so it's the same idea. Voltron was animated, and what happened was there was like 5 lions, and they were piloted by 5 different people, distinct personalities, distinct colors, and then those lions would come together to fight, to form Voltron. They'd form a giant figure like Devastator. So they would form this thing, and then they'd say, and I'll form the head, and then like there's a head, you know. It's Voltron. They had to fight a robeast every episode. Every single episode, they fought a robeast, and the robeast was just like a little thing, and then it would grow real giant, and it was made by the bad guy, and the robeast always looked a little different. It's basically a huge kaiju monster, and it would come and fight Voltron, and Voltron would punch it. There'd be lots of punching, and then Voltron would get knocked down, and then get knocked down, then go, hey, wait a minute. Guys, let's regroup. Team meeting. Why don't we form Blazing Sword? And then we'd go, let's form the Blazing Sword, and he'd like this big lightsaber situation would happen, and then he would just chop the robeast once or twice, and it would explode. And I was, even as a 5-year-old kid, I would watch this cartoon, and I'd say, yo, Voltron, why don't you pull out that Blazing Sword right away? And because there's going to be a robeast, you're going to get punched. He's going to punch you. This is going to go on for like 5 minutes. And you just need to form that Blazing Sword if you want to win. If you want to protect Eternia, or wherever their place was called, Fantasia, Eternia. Let me know if you remember what Voltron, the castle, was called, that planet they were called. I just spit on here. You're welcome. You're welcome, guys. See you tomorrow, Tatiana. Thank you for joining us. Crank also has rules, just like the movie Speed has rules. They're like, you got to drive over 50 miles per hour, and this bus can definitely jump a giant break in a freeway. A bus can. You know what? Let's take the risk of driving a bus off of a bridge first before going under 55 miles per hour. You need to speed. Speed is funny because speed is just a scalar unit. It's not even a unit. It's just a scalar measurement. It's like calling a movie height, weight. It's just sort of, there's no It's scalar. It doesn't have a direction. It doesn't have a vector to it. It doesn't have like you could say something is high speed or low speed, but speed is just it just doesn't care about. I'm just speed. You know, it'd be like a movie just called Smell instead of like Stench or something. I don't know. That was always my problem. See you later. See you tomorrow. We're going to talk more about this crazy movie rules. Deadpool. Deadpool can never die. I like how they established that, and it's really funny how they play with that concept. Even Deadpool explodes himself in the beginning of Deadpool 2 and then just grows back, I guess? I don't know how that works. Oh, yeah. Nightmare on Elm Street, The Matrix. So many movie rules. For instance, in The Matrix, if you die in The Matrix, you die in real life. Is that true, though? Is that true? Because I don't know if you're about The Matrix 2, but Trinity dies, and then he just sticks his hand in her heart and squeezes her heart, and then she come back alive. She come back alive. You ever play like a game and then someone's like, I got an extra life? You know, it'd be funny if we were playing the real life game of quarantine. The Quarantine is the name of a game, isn't it? There is a game called Quarantine. Am I right? And it's very exciting, like this version. If there's a game called Quarantine and the object of the game is to stay home for 2 months, that would be really insane. That would be an insane game. What's up, Ian Steeman? We're talking today on Aristotle Full Throttle about movie rules and how you could establish a rule in a movie, but that doesn't matter because if you establish a rule in a movie, what happens? We break that rule every time. Ghostbusters. What's the first thing they say? They say, don't cross the streams. Okay, why not? Egon, why can't we cross the streams? Well, Egon says, try to imagine life as we know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light. Then, of course, Venkman says, okay, that's bad. That's bad. Yes. So why didn't that happen later on in the movie where they were like, uh-oh, I figured out what we need to do to close the gate to the evil world, to Gozer. We need to close this interdimensional portal. How do we do that? We cross the streams. First, you know, we are really told not to cross these streams. And then once we cross these streams, what does it do? It explodes. Life as we know it did not stop instantaneously. None of the molecules exploded. Maybe some of them. Ghostbusters 2. What were the rules in Ghostbusters 2 that I should remember? The empathic slime. Oh, yeah. Totally. Totally the empathic slime. You don't want to... It feels your emotions. Imagine that. I bet you there's a river of slime running under New York City, but for different reasons. All kinds of different reasons. It's New York City. I hope you guys are able to stay safe in this time by washing your hands and wearing your masks when you go outside because, you know, just wear them properly. And I want to quote Michael Rappaport when I say, put your effing mask on your effing face. It's not a hat. It's not a chin strap. It doesn't go just over your mouth and not over your nose. It goes over your nose from up here to under your chin. Put your effing mask on your effing face. Thank you, Michael Rappaport, for that brilliant nugget of knowledge. So what did we talk about? We talked about the MCU, different rules in that universe. Star Wars. What are the rules of Star Wars? I think there are no rules in Star Wars. I think that's the beauty of it. I think I think it's the beauty of it and the downfall. I think the problem with having no rules in Star Wars is that what happens is you get episode 9, which, by the way, I started watching again last night. And I got to tell you, this time I was rewatching Star Wars episode 9, and This time around, I gotta say, the movie is still terrible. It's a bad movie. I don't like it. It's not a good movie. I did not enjoy it anymore. I'm actually enjoying it less than I thought I would. It is not good. It is, in fact, bad. And I will die upon this hill. Edge of Tomorrow had some really cool rules to that movie. They're making a sequel to Edge of Tomorrow. I liked Edge of Tomorrow. However, you ever think of like Edge of Tomorrow's got a little bit of a rival? They're almost like the same universe. kind of because the aliens in Edge of Tomorrow use time as a, like they can manipulate time or understand how time works better. I did like that Edge of Tomorrow. However, it was just an action Groundhog Day movie. Groundhog Day had a good rule. He just keeps waking up every day. It's the same day. And then one day he just gets better at not being a narcissist and, and then figures out how to get out of that loop universe. Yeah, guys, you got to avoid the narcissistic folks in life because they'll drain your energy. They'll drain your soul. The best thing to do is to be kind, compassionate, giving, and caring to other people. Empathy, it's a skill. It's not just a skill. It's an ability that you can develop better. I encourage it, but there are some people who severely lack it, and they call them narcissists and sociopaths and all sorts of stuff. And you run into a lot of that in Hollywood. It's kind of rough. It's pretty rough. Yeah, you don't want to... What I always say is you never want to date Joan Crawford again. Groundhog Day is the best. Yeah. Groundhog Day. Bill Murray. You know what's funny about Groundhog Day? Bill Murray was fighting with Harold Ramis, the director of Groundhog Day. They were fighting the whole time they made that movie. Bill Murray would kind of show up whenever he felt like it. And, of course, Harold Ramis didn't like the idea that he didn't know what he was going to be shooting that day unless Bill Murray showed up. And then they kind of had a falling out after that movie, even though the movie came out great and it's still a classic. They didn't talk up until recently. Right before Harold Ramis died, Bill Murray, as legend has it, called a motorcade. He went to Harold Ramis's town, and he went to the police department. He said, "Take me to Harold Ramis's house." And then there was like a motorcade that brought Bill Murray to Harold Ramis's house while Harold Ramis was dying of a lung disease that he had been battling with. And they kind of had it out and buried the hatchet and became friends again and made their peace before Harold Ramis left us permanently. However, he has left us with some great stuff. That guy was hilarious. I definitely relate to his character, Egon, the most in the Ghostbusters movies, actually. His character was clearly, obviously, the best and the smartest and the coolest one. However, I grew up to learn later on that most people liked either Ray or Venkman, and I was like, what are you talking about? Ray is kind of goofy, and Venkman is dopey. Obviously, Egon has got it together and is the smartest. And Winston Zeddemore is just like chill. He's the coolest one. He's the one who could break it down, tell everybody what the heck is going on for real in everyday terms, even though Egon is like sitting there, look at his Twinkie. I mean, there's nothing more understated than when Winston Zeddemore says, "That's a big Twinkie." I'm telling you. That is a great moment. It's very true. It's a big Twinkie. Don't cross the streams. Don't shut down the power grid. Ghostbusters has rules. You don't want to break them. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's great that they made peace. I'm glad because it's kind of sad. I actually did start... I was doing this. I was watching the Ghostbusters video game because all 4 Ghostbusters came back to voice the characters in the video game. However, it's like 6 hours of gameplay or something like that, or 6 hours of sort of guided instruction from the actual actors from the movie. So it's kind of the spiritual, so to speak, sequel of Ghostbusters 2. And it just kind of goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But it's fun. It's like watching a game. It's like watching someone else play a game starring the Ghostbusters. You know, I really enjoy this, guys. This is a really fun time that we have every day together that we share as Aristotler and Throttler. This is going to be our relationship. It's quite nice, actually. And if you guys have any fun movie suggestions or fun topics you want to discuss, let me know, and then we'll talk about it. I really enjoy this time we have together every day at noon Pacific Standard Time, AristotleFullThrottle.com. You could go to patreon.com/AristotleFullThrottle and support the channel, and we could have these daily discussions ad infinitum, forever and ever. Form our own little club, if you will. And, you know, it's exclusive. We can rule the galaxy. Yeah, Venkman I agree with you. Sorry, if I pause, it's because I'm reading, and I don't know how to read without not using all of my brain power at once. And this is why if I pause, I'm staring at letters and then trying to sound them out in my head and form words and sentences. I'm a very auditory person. So visually, I'm pretty good. But orally, AURAL, the things, if I hear it, I can process it pretty well. I can hear if I hear the things. I like to play music game, and it's on YouTube if you want to watch that. You can watch that anytime you want after this live stream is over in 11 minutes. So in these last 11 minutes or so, what are some other movies that have clearly established rules? Like, say, for instance, Lord of the Rings. Whatever you do, don't wear the ring too much because, you know, then it's going to corrupt your mind. So what happens? Frodo got to put that ring on. He got the bling. He's like, I'm going to go chuck this in the mountain. But at the last second, remember, he's like, oh, man. But this bling is dope, though. I want to keep it. I'm going to keep this ring. It's the last thing. He gets all the way up to the thing, and he's going to throw it in. And then, of course, there's a struggle. There's a struggle with that. Frodo, come on, bro. Chuck the ring in. That's what you came here for. We're talking about Lord of the Rings and all the different movie rules that are established. Earlier, we were talking about Gremlins. There's always these rules. Don't feed the gremlins after midnight. They're allergic to bright light. And whatever you do, don't get them wet. Or, you know, just don't get them wet. How do you not get a thing wet? But that's the fun thing. It's like, that's a very difficult situation to navigate. How do you not get a thing wet ever? And then once, of course, you get it wet, you just get more mogwai. The weird stage of life that is a gremlin. But after midnight thing, Tatiana brought up a really good point the other day. You're going to have to, like, it's midnight somewhere. What if you're crossing a time zone? What if you're right at the edge of a time zone? How do these gremlins know what time it is? I guess they just do. But all three of those rules are broken, which is smart. And it's, of course, if they are allergic to bright light, wait for that bright light to show up. Yeah, Bilbo Baggins could resist the ring, but arguably Bilbo is much more of a hero than Frodo, his nephew. What kind of names are these, Bilbo? What was J.R.R. Tolkien even thinking? What an idiot. He only wrote 3 or more of the greatest English language fantasy fiction novels. Fantasy fiction, that's like a redundancy, isn't it? If you make it up, ain't it already fiction and a fantasy? People think fantasy, like, wow, that's fantastical. But you know what else is fantastical? Donald Trump's hair. How is that even real? Nobody knows. It's not even made of science. People can't figure that out. It will have our scientists pondering for centuries. What is going on there? What dimension did his brain come from? Actually, guys, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I actually looked up what was going on with his hair, and he had a scalp reduction surgery. So what happens is, I'm going to let the jig is up, Captain President. I'm going to tell everybody about your hair situation. Get this. He had like parts of his scalp removed that had no like really thriving follicles and then sewn together. So his hair just faces all different directions. It just grows in like all these different directions because he had his scalp reduced because he's a weirdo. He's a freaking weirdo, guys. I don't know if you noticed, but he suggested you drink bleach. This coming from a guy who had his scalp reduced. That's how his hair looks all weird. That's why it's combed in all sorts of different directions, because it has nowhere to go. It doesn't even want to stay on his head. But enough about my fascination. 9 times out of 10, the black character will not survive the film. Yes, Will, this is very true. This is why I really enjoy when actors like LL Cool J have a no death clause in their situation. They will say, I do not care if I'm in a movie called Deep Blue Sea and I am in the deep blue sea in an underwater base fighting sharks the whole movie. LL Cool J gets his contract fulfilled because he rises to the surface and emerges to the top of the water magically at the end of that movie, and just starts laughing, and you go, that's hilarious. He didn't even decompress or anything. His head should probably be bleeding from the eyeballs right now. But it's fantastical. But it's very true, Will. I agree with you. So many times the character of color, usually the black character, dies. They just die for no reason. And this is what we've become accustomed to in Hollywood. And, I think that's funny. That's why a movie like Get Out is pretty great. Because it kind of subverts a lot of the ideas of a horror movie. And it puts us in the shoes of a situation of a guy dealing with I love that movie. It's really great. Watch Get Out. It puts you in the situation of the character Chris and how he has to navigate the world. And it gets the audience on his side right away. Yeah, LL Cool J is really smart. He's got the plan. I mean, he's really got the life together. He's like, I'm going to be a rapper, and then I'm going to be on a cop procedural show for my retirement plan. And that's pretty smart. I should get I'm going to follow in LL Cool J's footsteps, not only in the fact that he went to the same high school I went to, Bayshore High School in Bayshore, Long Island. I'm going to follow his plan. I want to be the guy on a show, right? On some kind of like NCIS, like the 15th spinoff of NCIS. By the way, the actor Mark Harmon has been playing that same character of what's his name, Captain, I don't know, Cochise. He's been playing that guy since 1994 or something. He literally was on Jag. If you remember a show called Jag, he as this character, and then he has spun off like 2 times and has been this character on this television program for at least 10 years or so, or 15 years. So this dude, they've got it made. They show up to work. They sleep. They're like sleeping through their lines. They're like, oh, there was a murder here? Hey, why don't we solve this murder? And then that's pretty much the whole episode, every episode. And then, of course, there's like these weird internal character dramas going on. Like, oh man, I really have a drug problem. I should address this. This would be the ongoing storyline of my character. And then that guy will, for seasons be like, oh yeah, remember when he had that drug problem when he was trying to solve all those crimes? Well, Mark Harmon and LL Cool J are the smartest people in show business, and you can quote me on that. I'm gonna make a t-shirt that says that for no good reason. What's up? Do not follow me. I'm serious. Yes. You were told not to walk into the haunted house of death, but they always do it anyway. Yeah. They're all like, every movie, every horror movie is like, hey, whatever you do, don't do this thing. And then, of course, we got to do the thing. Candyman in the mirror. Yeah. Beetlejuice. Say it 3 times. What happens? But then the rule is broken in Beetlejuice, if you remember. Gina Davis says Beetlejuice, and he throws a zipper on her mouth. She unzips it. She says Beetlejuice 2 times, and then he throws like a metal thing on her mouth, so she can't say Beetlejuice the 3rd time. But what do? They bring a they bring a sandworm from Mars to eat Beetlejuice because they broke the rule. They broke the 3 rule, and yeah, I've seen that movie way too many times. I've seen it a lot. I hope they make a sequel to that. I think if you just slap a bunch of makeup on Michael Keaton, he could just jump right back into that role. I don't know how they'll... I think it would be hilarious if Michael Keaton went to the meeting and all they had to say was Beetlejuice 3 times and then he signs on. It's like Michael Keaton's like, I don't know if I want to do this, guys. Beetlejuice. What'd you say? Beetlejuice. Oh, man. Beetlejuice, you got me. I'm in. I'm Beetlejuice. You said it 3 times. Now I got to do it. That's the deal. That's the deal Beetlejuice made in hell. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining me on Instagram every day at noon Pacific Standard Time. What's up, Craving Strange? Great band. Guys, go check them out. Follow them on Instagram. They're fun. They're good guys. I know them personally. We've played many shows together. And they're good peeps. And great musicians and great songs. Check them out. This last 2 minutes of my live stream is going to be about how Craving Strange is dope. you should follow Jimmy and the boys. They're fun. I sometimes wear my Craving Strange shirt on this show. You guys will notice. I'm Aristotle, Full Throttle, and we've been talking about movie rules and how to establish them. And of course, every time they're established, they're broken. Yeah, Ice-T is another rapper. See, you got to jump on... Will, you're killing this game. This is great. You got to jump on it. If you're a rapper, you spend the first part of your career rapping, and then you spend the second part of your career being a cop on a procedural TV show. And it's really funny because John Mulaney has a great bit about how Ice-T is constantly surprised, even though he's been the same character on a TV show for like over a decade, 15 years or so. He's been the same. He's been playing a detective, and every time he somehow has to be the exposition guy and be surprised by the crimes he encounters, even though he's been a well-experienced detective. So he'll say, "You mean this guy has a thing for little girls? That's crazy." And it's like, you got to watch it. It's a John Mulaney bit. It's like, yeah, Ice-T, you work in the special victims unit. You come across this stuff all the time. Why are you still surprised? This is like kind of the point of your job, Ice-T. But that's the retirement plan, guys. Follow in the footsteps of the greats, LL Cool J and Ice-T. And of course, if you're like Ice-T, you were in a supremely awesome heavy metal band in the early 90s called Body Count, which was so much fun. That was a fun band, and they're still around, I think. I still think Ice-T goes out with Body Count every now and then. And they were very controversial, but very influential to me as an individual. For being a rock and roll oriented type of dude, I liked it. And also for being brown. Thank you guys for joining me on Instagram. I'm going to hop back over to YouTube Live, AristotleFullThrottle.com. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle, your bro in the know with the fro, and I'll see you later. Awesome, guys. We're still here on YouTube, still live. But, yeah, it's very true. Body Count, what a great band. I don't know, Will, you probably heard about Body Count. You're a rock and roller. You know about all the rock and roll bands from the 90s. Body Count was a fun band. Maybe I'll play some body count on the next show. But I really appreciate you guys joining me. This is always fun. Every single day we do this at noon. It is the highlight of my day to spend it with you guys for an hour. Yeah, there's a buffering situation. I'm going to work this out. I'm going to figure out how to go on Twitch also to just make it even more confusing for everybody. It's fun. Guys, I really appreciate this. I really like that you join me every day and that we're forming a community, a solid, strong, and safe place to go hang out and be nerds fully nerd out and talk about all of our favorite things and share in all of this joy. Because what is life if not for indulgence and enjoyment and fun and positivity and creativity? If you're ever around people who drain your soul, just get away from them. I say this from personal experience. People who drain your soul are toxic. So what you need to do is surround people who energize you and make you feel happy and make you feel that you're worth it and that they're worth it and that together you could rule the internet as Aristotler and Throttler. I've been Aristotle Full Throttle, your bro in the know with the fro, and I'll see you tomorrow.